you have to replace some really big pieces from that team. Can you talk about just your overview and Nigel and Norchad? They both seem like really
Great kids, right?
great. I mean, Norchad's smile is just,
Oh.
and Nigel also just seems like he's blending right in. Can you just kind of give a little
Yeah,
overview?
we've got a great group of guys. Norshad and Nigel have fit in beautifully, as well as our four freshmen. It's been a very smooth transition from me and my coaching staff because, quite honestly, we're going to miss the leadership that we got from Charlie Moore, Cam Augusti, and Sam Wardenberg. They were just terrific pieces to a very complicated puzzle, which is basketball. You got to find the right players to do the right things. One of the things, and those of you who've watched us play all last year know, we never posted anybody up. And Sam is 6'10", but we never played him with his back to the basket. He was a perimeter player, so we played five out. We did some different things to create opportunities for Charlie and Cam and Isaiah. And it ended up working. We had some wrinkles we had to iron out, especially in November and not just November, I think. Once we got into December, then things started clicking for us. This year, I don't know how long it'll take, but the guys are working really hard. We have 6 new players out of 13 scholarship players, so half the team is new. They're making great progress. But someone like Norshad is somebody who's very comfortable with his back to the basket in around the hoop, so we've got to create opportunities for him. Jordan Miller and Anthony Walker also have developed their inside game so that we've got to be able to allow them to do what they do really, really well. And then Nigel is an outstanding shooter. Isaiah is an outstanding scorer. Bensley Joseph and Wooger made a lot of progress during their freshman year, and that continues to progress. And we have these 4 freshmen, 6'7", 6'8", 6'8", 6'11". So they're very tall, they're athletic, and they fit very well with what we're trying to do. But they're very young and inexperienced, and we're trying to help them.
Is there a certain momentum, even though it's a new team, like you said, all these new players, is there a certain momentum and confidence as a group that comes in when you're coming off an Elite Eight?
Well, I don't think the new guys can have that confidence. I think the returning players can. I think Isaiah and Jordan and Anthony and Bensley and Wooga, they played. They were on the court. They helped us beat Southern Cal and Auburn and Iowa State. Thank you and Iowa State. So they understand what it's all about. But the new guys, it's something they've dreamed about doing, but they haven't done it yet. So they don't have the experience.
Jim, you mentioned the team didn't really post up last year. Can you sort of give us a big picture on, how will this team look different to fans, to us, when we're watching compared to a year ago?
Okay, well, let's start with the defensive end of the floor. Last year, in the summertime, we looked at all of the rosters in the league and just said, hey, we're just so much smaller, not just in height, but in weight. We don't have the bulk of many of the teams in our league. How can we spread them out, and how can we put enough pressure on them to force turnovers, because we're not going to be able to beat them inside on the backboards. And our goal was to force more turnovers. I think this year the defensive end will be a point of emphasis to continue what we started last year. Let's continue to try to force as many turnovers as we can. And then at the offensive end, we're experimenting with a new offense and seeing if that's going to be a primary or secondary or just, maybe special situations. Experimenting is just that. It's trial and error. And right now, there's probably more errors than trials.
Jim, who do you think is going to step up in the leadership role? It was so big last year, especially coming off that Alabama game. And then you went to State Park and Penn State, you know, played a great game, but went down 5 in the second half, and then they refused to lose. And the following Saturday, Clemson, you know, down 9, get a little over 5 minutes left, and they just refused to lose. You know, and I'm sure the leadership made that change between Alabama and those games. And who do you think will step up in that role this year?
Well, as I mentioned, you know, Sam and Cam and Charlie were very responsible for that. Maybe Sam more than anybody else because he'd been here the longest and knew what was expected. For the guys now, I talked to a group the other day, and the way I explained it to the group was every team that really is hugely successful has great leadership. And I talked about Charlie, Cam, and Sam. I said, now we have some new guys, we have some older guys, and for us to be the kind of team we would like to be, all of you need to exercise some leadership qualities. And that group was 6 very important players, Bensley Joseph and Nigel Pack, who, for all intents and purposes, are our point guards. So those guys have to have the ball in their hands. They have to lead us. They also guard the point guard, so they have to be a catalyst on defense. And then we have Jordan Miller and Isaiah Wong, 2 returning starters. They helped us get to the Elite 8 and have the success. So they really need to step up and take on really Cam and Sam's role. And then we have a senior like Anthony Walker and a newcomer like Norshad Omir, who are going to be expected to really help fill the void that Sam leaves defensively, because he was our biggest guy. Now, those 2 are really our biggest guy until you include our freshmen. But the freshmen, I'm not expecting them to be leaders from day one, whereas those 6 guys, Bensley, Nigel, Jordan, Isaiah, Norshad, and Anthony, I am expecting them to be the leaders of the team right from the opening jump.
Who out of those 6, who are the most natural leaders, the ones who just kind of command leadership, command respect when they walk in?
Yeah, I think, again, I can't evaluate too much Nigel and Norshad because they just haven't been here long enough.
Right.
But the natural leadership qualities of the personality of guys I'm very familiar with would be Bensley Joseph and Jordan Miller.
Yeah, Jordan seemed to really grow his personality. I mean, he just, especially during the tournament, the way he spoke and all the press conferences and all the stuff. I mean, do you feel like he's really emerging as a leader?
Absolutely. If you, we keep very extensive statistics during our workouts, every practice, every scrimmage. And I had a meeting with Jordan during the summer and basically explained to him the role I see for him. And I even used some statistics to explain to him why. I wanted to back up. I wanted him not only to believe me, but to understand that this is not just an opinion, but he's created the fact that you're really good at doing this. And he had a 4-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. And, you know, if you're 2-to-1 and you're a guard, you're really good. He was 4-to-1. And he asked then the question, and said, well, if I get a defensive rebound, are you comfortable with me pushing the ball on the fast break? And I turned that around and said, well, I'll ask you the question. Are you going to make a good play or are you going to turn the ball over? And he said, no, I'll make a good decision. And I said, then yeah, do it. You know, I want you to be comfortable and confident in doing what you're good at. And when someone has a 4-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, I believe you're making a lot of good decisions. And so we put the ball in his hands more frequently now. And he's been really, really playing at a very high level.
Coach, 2 questions. One, Northside Amir just mentioned that he's had a lot of conversations with you at the game of basketball. What do you notice about him as just a listener, who he is off the court? And then also Harlan Beverly, how has his comeback been?
Yeah, first of all, with Norshad, his energy level is off the charts. And now, what I've explained to him is that personality is really, really good. It's great if you then set the example of how hard you're going to play. All right? So I told him, look, you've got all this energy, you're a tremendous athlete, your jumping ability, your strength. But if you only put in a token effort and you're okay in practice, that's not the message that we want for you to send to your teammates. When you're capable of dominating a practice, then do it. Don't do it at the defensive end of the floor, because at 6'7", you're going to be guarding guys 6'11", 7 feet. And if you're sitting behind the post player and letting a favor catch the ball in the post and score over you, that's not really what we're going to expect of you, and it's not what's going to win for us. And so he has to demonstrate that leadership and that high energy in practice every single day. And I think that's going to be a real challenge for him this year, because I think at this level, the ACC, with the caliber of players and the height and the weight, athletic ability of these players, different than the league he played in. And so it's going to be a real challenge for him. Harlan Beverly, on the other hand, has basically missed almost a year and a half, 18 months of basketball. He's just getting back in shape. There was a time, I can't be specific, but I'll guess he was over 210 pounds, maybe 215 pounds at one point. And that's overweight for him. We need him to be in the best shape of his life, because he's still dealing with the recovery from back surgery. You have back surgery at any age, it's a problem. But when you're 20 years old and you're an athlete and you're running and you jump as high as he does, so there's going to be times when he feels great. There's probably going to be times that back is sore. And we've got and Sam Johnson, who's a tremendous trainer, does a great job. He's going to have to monitor that and provide my coaching staff and me with the right amount of information, so we don't push him to the point where he's going to re-injure himself. But he's making some nice progress right now.
Got time for a few more for Coach L.
Coach, football as well, how was the strength and conditioning?
What was the first thing you said?
Football as well.
Oh, Hopewell, thank you. How come none of the other ass guys?
We don't care if you're winning.
Yeah.
The strength and conditioning program was obviously really big last year. Guys didn't get hurt as often.
Yes, we stayed healthy.
How's it going, this offseason?
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up, because that was a major key. We only missed 2 games, a player or two only missed 2 games last season. Sam Wardenberg and Wooga Poplar both missed 2 games, the same 2 games, because of COVID. But we got healthy and played very, very well throughout the ACC season. This year, we have a new strength and conditioning coach. His name is Preston Green. He comes from the University of Florida. He's got an outstanding reputation, and I know our guys love what he's doing. They love the program that he's teaching them. He's very, very well respected in the strength and conditioning world. He does clinics throughout the world, and we're very, very happy to have Preston working with our players. So hopefully he can help them stay healthy as well. He and Sam Johnson have to work very, very closely together.
Last question for Coach L.
Can you talk about the,
We'll go Michelle, then Adam, and then
Oh, I'm not in any hurry.
okay.
Do you have someone coming in behind me?
the women's practice is open to the media after you're done.
So you have a choice. You can stay and listen to me. You can go out and practice. We give you options here.
All right. Can you just talk about reaching the Elite Eight? How did it help?
I like that.
Yes, that was good. Not that. Increasing the profile of the program, the energy around the program. On campus, when you're recruiting everything, can you just talk about what reaching the Elite Eight has meant to this program going forward?
Well, recruiting is really about sales and trying to convince young men that your program fits what they're looking for. And almost every recruit wants to know if you're going to win. Are you any good? I want to get to the NCAA tournament. I want to get to the Elite Eight. I want to get to the Final Four. I want to win a national championship. When you say, well, we've done that, all right? We've been to the Sweet 16. We've been to the Elite Eight. Actually, been to the Sweet 16 3 times. We got to the Elite Eight last year after being in the Sweet 16. And so our goal now is to kind of keep pushing forward. Are we capable of getting to the Final Four, of winning a national championship? I always refer back to this same statistic because to me it's very significant. Hey, if our football program has won 5 national championships and our baseball 4, there's no reason our basketball program can't put itself in that category. But to say it's easy to do, it's easy to say, it's a lot tougher to put those words into action.
Jim, I also hope you're doing well.
Thanks.
I do too.
What have you seen from the freshmen since they've gotten on campus?
Yeah, our freshmen are really an intriguing group. They 2 of them come from the Washington, D.C. area, Maryland, and Christian Watson is 6'7", athletic. I love what he's capable of doing when he can do it consistently well. Favor Ire is 6'11", 7'2" or 3 wingspan. And again, he does some things that are very, very good in what we need. But those 2 guys also clearly have a very high ceiling, and they're like on the first floor, and we got to get them to the penthouse. Right? They're not there yet. Danilo Jovanovic is kind of a unique kind of guy. I would compare him very favorably to Sam Wardenberg, but Sam as a freshman and sophomore, where you can see the potential, but he needs to grow into a role. And we don't have a role for him. When I say role, I mean a position. I'm not sure if he's a 3, a 4, or a 5. He's getting bigger and stronger, gaining weight. We recruited him. He weighed like 185 pounds. I thought he was a 3-man. Now he weighs like 220. So he's growing, and we're trying to figure out, okay, where can we play him where he can be hugely successful? Of the freshmen, A.J. Casey played in Chicago, great high school program. He's 6'8", athletic. He's got like a pro body. To me, he looks like a young Paul George. 6'8", looks like he can shoot it a little bit. But all of that being said, none of the freshmen are consistent. They're consistently inconsistent. And so we got to wait on them. So I wouldn't put any high expectation on a freshman this year. But next year, when they grow into leadership roles, I can see all of them being highly successful.
Coach, the ACC last year had a great postseason run. I wanted to hear what you thought about the level of competition. Obviously, you guys played some really tough games last year. I felt like it prepared you guys for that.
Yeah, I think the ACC was very undervalued, underrated. I mean, it's very, very easy for me to say that because we have to try to beat those teams. But I also know the league as a whole did not have the non-conference performance that it normally does. We had some losses in the non-conference that really hurt the reputation of our whole league. But as the season progressed, I just think the teams, so many new guys playing major roles, new transfer students, trying to figure things out in November and December. I thought by January and February and March, the ACC was probably the best league. And I think we showed that by 3 teams making it to the Elite Eight.
All right, looks like Luke has the last one. All right. Go final 2, Luke, and then you can wrap it up.
Coach, you mentioned how Sam was one of the vocal leaders both on offense and on defense last season. And then once he leaves, you bring in a guy with like Norchad Omier who has just so much energy. What do you expect Norchad to bring both on and off the court that Sam left behind?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing when you look at Sam Wardenberg was his versatility at the defensive end of the floor. We did a lot of trapping of ball screens. That's hard for a big guy 6'10" to do. We need Norchad to do the same thing. Sam had to guard 7-footers in the low post. He did a terrific job of that as well. Norchad's got to be able to fill those shoes as well at 6'7". On the offensive end of the floor, Sam hit a bunch of threes, did some driving layups, and shared the ball, had a bunch of assists. Norshad is not that kind of player, so even if we were to run the same offense, he's not going to look like Sam Wardenberg. But because we know that, at this point in time, we're making adjustments in our offense to accommodate what he does well. So I think Norshad will have a great year.
Hey, Coach, hope all's been well.
Good start.
Yeah. The overall depth of the team, it seems like this is one of the deeper Miami teams that you've had in recent years. Just, I guess, how would you assess it?
I would say it's a long ways away from being deep. All right? I think it's got a solid core of veteran players and a couple of transfers. And the reason the transfers can make the adjustment a little quicker than freshmen is they're older. They've been through college basketball. Kind of know. They're not 18. They might be 24 or 5, for all I know. But, you know, they're older. They're in their 20s. So we have those 6 guys that I mentioned. You can add, you know, Harlan Beverly and Wooga Popla. That's 7 and 8. So we've got enough older guys, and then it'll be, if we're going to have really good depth, it's going to be how quickly the freshmen progress.